In an electrifying and jaw-dropping twist that has set tongues wagging across the corridors of power, Angela Rayner, once a towering figure in Labour's ranks, found herself reduced to a trembling wreck, fleeing a fiery confrontation in tears after a merciless onslaught from relentless MPs. The scene was nothing short of a political bloodbath, a brutal showdown that unfolded behind closed doors but has now erupted into the public eye like a volcanic explosion. What began as a tense debate over Rayner's controversial stab at defining Islamophobia spiraled into a full-blown catastrophe, with accusations flying like daggers and the very foundations of free speech hanging in the balance. Witnesses to this dramatic spectacle described it as a savage mauling, a clash so intense it left seasoned politicians gasping and Rayner scrambling to salvage her dignity. But this is just the beginning of a story that's about to shake the nation to its core, a tale of betrayal, extremism, and a chilling threat to the liberties we hold dear. And if you want to stay ahead of this unfolding saga, to uncover every shocking detail as it breaks, then heed this urgent call: subscribe to our channel right now. Don't miss a single second of this explosive drama. Hit that subscribe button and join the thousands who refuse to be left in the dark. The stakes are sky high, the revelations are relentless, and you need to be in the know before it's too late. Trust us, you won't forgive yourself if you miss what's coming next. Picture the scene: a dimly lit meeting room in Westminster, thick with tension, the air practically crackling with anticipation. Angela Rayner, poised yet visibly on edge, stood before a pack of MPs who were primed for battle. Her mission? To defend a definition of Islamophobia that she claimed would shield Britain's Muslim communities from hatred. But what she got instead was a relentless barrage of criticism that would leave her reeling, her carefully crafted facade crumbling like a house of cards in a hurricane. The fireworks ignited almost instantly. 3 MPs, each a titan in their own right, unleashed a torrent of outrage, their voices booming like thunder across the room. They accused Rayner of crafting a definition so dangerous, so insidious, that it could strangle free speech and smuggle blasphemy laws into Britain through the back door. One MP, veins bulging with fury, slammed his fist on the table, roaring that Rayner was kowtowing to extremist pressure. Another, eyes blazing with indignation, demanded she explain, right then and there, how her proposal wouldn't criminalize anyone daring to speak out against Islam. The third, a seasoned warrior of parliamentary debates, leaned forward with a glare that could melt steel and declared her approach an outright assault on liberty. Rayner, caught in this ferocious crossfire, reportedly faltered. Her voice trembled, her hands shook, and her responses grew increasingly frantic. Witnesses say she tried to deflect, to weave a tapestry of excuses, but the MPs weren't having it. They pressed harder, their questions sharper, until the room felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. And explode it did. Rayner, overwhelmed by the onslaught, allegedly wiped tears from her eyes, gathered her papers in a flustered heap, and stormed out, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. So what's at the heart of this political firestorm? Rayner's proposed definition of Islamophobia, a phrase that's become a lightning rod for controversy, has sparked fears that it's less about protecting people and more about silencing them. Critics, including a former Labour MP turned whistleblower, warn that her wording is a Trojan horse, a sly mechanism to resurrect blasphemy laws under the guise of compassion. This isn't about safety, the ex-MP thundered in a leaked statement. It's about control. Control over what we say, what we think, and what we dare to question. The accusations don't stop there. A Conservative heavyweight stood mid-meeting, his voice dripping with defiance, and challenged Rayner directly: "Will you admit this could gag legitimate concerns about radical Islam?" Rayner's fumbling reply, described by insiders as evasive and pathetic, only fueled the flames. Another MP, a veteran of Labour's old guard, piled on, claiming her definition risks smothering open debate and pandering to the very extremists we should be confronting. And then there's Lord Wall, the former government advisor whose words landed like a bombshell. Until recently, he was the nation's point man on political violence and disruption, a man who's seen the darkest corners of extremism up close. His warning? Islamist extremism and terrorism remain the gravest threats to Britain. Yes, even after the chaos of the Southport riots. Slamming his fist on the table for emphasis, he demanded to know why Labour was burying its head in the sand, ignoring this ticking time bomb while Rayner pushed a definition that could muzzle any attempt to call it out. "This isn't progress," he roared. "This is cowardice." The stakes couldn't be higher. On one side, Rayner and her allies insist they're fighting a noble battle against anti-Muslim hatred, a scourge that's seen hate crime spike in recent years. "No one should live in fear because of their faith," Rayner declared last week, her voice quivering with emotion as she addressed the rising tide of intolerance. She's vowed that Labour's working group, now chaired by former Tory Minister Dominic Grieve, will spend the next 6 months hammering out an official definition that balances protection with fairness. Grieve, a legal eagle with a reputation for gravitas, has promised to tackle this undeniably thorny issue head-on, ensuring British Muslims feel heard while safeguarding free thought. But the other side smells a rat, and they're not backing down. Lord Wall, doubling down on his blistering critique, told Rayner to her face that her definition was fatally flawed. He argued it could choke open debate, leaving Britain defenseless against the creeping influence of Islamist ideology. This isn't just about words, he warned, his tone icy with urgency. It's about the erosion of our values, the undermining of our way of life. MPs nodded furiously in agreement, one even shouting that Labour's reluctance to confront this head-on reeked of political spinelessness. The room erupted again when Rayner tried to dismiss these fears. An audible groan rippled through the MPs, and a senior figure leapt to his feet, accusing her of orchestrating a full frontal attack on free expression. The tension peaked as Rayner, visibly rattled, struggled to hold her ground. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, her hands clutched her notes like a lifeline, and her voice cracked as she insisted, over and over, that her goal was to combat hate, not stifle speech. But the MPs weren't buying it. "You can't dress up authoritarianism as kindness," one bellowed, as Rayner's composure finally shattered. "Let's rewind for a moment. Labour's flirtation with defining Islamophobia isn't new. It dates back to 2018, when the party first drafted a version that was hailed as progressive but later slammed as a gag order on dissent. Lord Wall, reflecting on that earlier attempt, admitted it started with good intentions but was hijacked by less genuine forces. Insiders whisper this could mean extremist lobbyists or political opportunists. The result? A definition so vague, so sweeping, that it scared off even its original supporters. Now, Rayner's latest iteration has dredged up those same nightmares, with critics warning it could outlaw the very discussions Britain needs to protect itself. Imagine this: a citizen criticizes radical Islam online, say, the kind that fuels terror cells or preaches intolerance. Under Rayner's definition, could they be hauled before a court, branded a bigot, and silenced? That's the chilling scenario her opponents paint, and it's got people terrified. "We criticize Christianity all the time, mock it, dissect it, burn its books if we want," one MP raged during the meeting. "But do the same to Islam, and suddenly it's a crime? That's not equality, that's tyranny." Rayner squirmed as the room turned hostile, her attempts to counter drowned out by shouts of hypocrisy. Lord Wall took it further, arguing that the term Islamophobia itself is a loaded gun. He prefers anti-Muslim hatred, claiming it's clearer, sharper, and less likely to boomerang into unintended crackdowns. "Islamophobia implies a fear of the religion," he explained to the Telegraph, "when what we're really fighting is hatred toward people. Get it wrong, and we're banning ideas, not protecting lives." Rayner pushed back, hard, but another MP cut her off, slamming her approach as a disaster waiting to happen. By this point, Rayner was a shell of her former self. Her frustration boiled over as she wiped away tears, her papers fluttering to the floor in a chaotic mess. "I'm trying to keep people safe," she cried, but the MPs weren't moved. One accused her of dodging the real issue, the Islamist threat Lord Wall had laid bare. Another called her out for Labour's cowardice, claiming the party was more interested in optics than security. The room descended into chaos, with Rayner finally bolting for the exit, leaving a trail of stunned onlookers and unanswered questions. But the drama doesn't end there. Rayner's troubles spilled beyond the Islamophobia debate into another scandal: the delay of Awab's law. Named after Awab Ishaq, a toddler who died in 2020 from mold-related health issues in a damp-ridden flat, the law was meant to force landlords to fix hazards fast. Rayner, as the overseeing minister, promised swift action. But last month, the government admitted it won't fully roll out until 2027. Awab's grieving family, backed by the Manchester Evening News, blasted this as a broken promise, warning that more lives will be lost while bureaucrats dawdle. Rayner, cornered by reporters on February 28, tried to spin it. "We're moving as fast as we can," she insisted, praising Awab's family for their advocacy. She touted a new renters' rights bill and hefty housing investments, but the family wasn't impressed. No clarity, no timelines, just excuses, their legal team fumed. For Rayner, it's another blow to a reputation already teetering on the edge. As the dust settles, Westminster is buzzing with speculation. Will Rayner's definition survive this brutal backlash? Can Dominic Grieve, with his loyally calm, steer Labour out of this mess? Or is Britain hurtling toward a future where free speech is sacrificed on the altar of political correctness? One thing's clear, this saga is far from over, and the consequences could reshape our society for decades. So, dear reader, where do you stand? Are we witnessing a heroic stand against hate, or a sinister plot to gag us all? The truth is out there, and we're digging for it. Subscribe now to join the fight for answers, because in times like these, staying informed isn't just a choice, it's a necessity. Don't wait. Hit that button and brace yourself for what's next.